and security reasons, they will be taking the president's limousine. In coming to Miami, Pope John Paul comes to one of America's most ethnically diverse cities, of course. Roughly half the people who now live here were born in foreign countries, and no one group represents a majority. Hispanics, the largest single segment of the population. And many of them with strong feelings about the countries from which they came. Cuba, Nicaragua, Haiti. They would like the Pope to speak out on the political conditions in those countries, but he is not expected to, directly. 319 journalists accompany Pope John Paul. There are some of them thundering into place right now on this trip, which will take him from here to Columbia, South Carolina, to New Orleans, to Phoenix, to Los Angeles, to Monterey, to San Francisco, to Detroit. 9 cities altogether. A cost of $40 million. Similarities between President Reagan and Pope John Paul. They both are very strong personal symbols of their constituencies, aren't they?
Well, they are indeed. There are a lot of similarities. And first of all, the personal similarities. They both come from relatively humble beginnings. Both are former actors who have retained the remarkable ability to captivate and to attract huge millions of followers. And of course, there are similarities in substance as well. Both are strong anti-communists, both strong against abortion. This is the 4th time the two men have met, and we are told by White House officials they have formed something of a personal relationship. Mrs. Reagan also, as you noted, has had separate meetings with the Pope. She was there in 1985 to discuss drug abuse with him. And in fact, we'll be meeting the Pope later on this trip in Los Angeles, going to an elementary school with him to speak out against drug abuse.
And there is no small political equation in all of this as well. Roman Catholics in this country, 53 million strong, almost a quarter of the population, many of them in powerful and prominent positions. The U.S. Roman Catholic Church, Inc. in this country has enormous real estate holdings.
And, Tom, that is not lost at all on the White House. They are aware of the fact that the Catholics were generally, well, here's the Pope.
This, the Holy Father. To Florida, the newly elected governor from Tampa. Hispanic origins, obviously. First to be elected governor of this state from that ethnic background. Mayor of Miami. Cardinals chosen to represent the American church here. O'Connor of New York. Law of Boston, I believe. It's hard to see. These 6 children represent the ethnic diversity of this city. Haitian, black, Hispanic. President Reagan and the Holy Father now will be making remarks to the crowd assembled here and to his national television audiences, 4,500 people in the bleachers. Security is very, very tight indeed. Attempting to keep the commercialism to a minimum. It's not always possible on these occasions. Someone is peddling a lawn sprinkler. You're hearing the papal anthem in the background. Someone is peddling here a lawn sprinkler called Let Us Spray, and it is in the form of the Pope with his arms outstretched. Paul is now 67 years old. He is 5 feet 10 inches tall, and he does have still a very athletic build. An avid skier and backpacker in his youth. He was shot in May 1981. And nearly killed. The name of the papal anthem is called Inno Pontifico. And love will reign are the last lines. The Holy Father is expected to talk to Americans about materialism, about America's place in the world as a leader, crusade against human rights violations, among other things. And, of course, as I say, about the place of the American Roman Catholic Church in the international scheme of church affairs.
Your Holiness, after an audience with you 5 years ago in Vatican City, I met a group of American priests and seminarians who were studying in Rome. And when I happened to mention my hope that one day you would return to the United States, and that perhaps this time your visit would extend to the South and the West, when I mentioned this, those seminarians broke into applause. Today, Your Holiness, you begin just such a return visit. And today, all America applauds. In a document of the Second Vatican Council that you helped to draft, it is written, in language intelligible to every generation, the Church should be able to answer the ever-recurring questions which men ask about the meaning of this present life and of the life to come. In language intelligible to every generation. Certainly no one can speak with greater force to our own generation than you yourself. In Poland, you experienced Nazism and communism. As Pope, you suffered a terrorist attack that nearly claimed your life. Still, you proclaim that the central message of our own time, that the central message of all time is not hatred, but love. During your papacy, you have taken this message to some 68 countries. You have celebrated Mass in the ancient capitals of Europe. You have spoken words of truth and comfort on the African savannah. You have visited new churches on the islands of the Pacific. You've addressed vast gatherings throughout South America and the Far East. Now you have come back to the United States, the nation of citizens from all nations. If I might just interject something, Your Holiness, I know that in your travels you've made it a point to speak to people in their own language. Well, here in Miami, I have a suspicion that you will find many in your audience eager to hear you speak the beautiful language of Spain. But in this, the very month of your visit, we in the United States will be celebrating the 200th anniversary of our Constitution. That document says a great deal about the fundamental values in which we Americans believe. In the words of the distinguished Catholic philosopher Jacques Maritain, the founding fathers were neither metaphysicians nor theologians, but their philosophy of life and their political philosophy, their notion of natural law and of human rights, were permeated with concepts worked out by Christian reason and backed up by an unshakable religious feeling. From the first then, our nation embraced the belief that the individual is sacred, and that as God himself respects human liberty, so too must the state. In freedom, we Americans have in these 200 years built a great country, a country of goodness and abundance. Indeed, Your Holiness, it is precisely because we believe in freedom, because we respect the liberty of the individual in the economic as well as the political spheres, that we have achieved such prosperity. We are justly proud of the Marshall Plan, whose 40th anniversary was celebrated in Europe earlier this year. In Europe and elsewhere, we continue to place our might on the side of human dignity. In Latin America and Asia, we're supporting the expansion of human freedom, in particular, the powerful movement toward democracy. Yet we Americans admit freely to our shortcomings. As you exhort us, we will listen with all our hearts. We yearn to make this good land better still. In Florida and South Carolina, in Louisiana and Texas, in Arizona, California, and Michigan, tens of thousands of Americans, more than 50 million Catholics, will greet you. They do great work, America's Catholics, in the name of their church. Here in the United States, American Catholics put their faith into action in countless ways, maintaining parochial schools that give underprivileged children in our inner cities the chance to receive a good education. Supporting the AIDS hospices established by Mother Teresa's Missionaries of Charity. And perhaps simply helping to put on a fundraising dinner for the local parish. Abroad, American Catholics likewise seek to translate their faith into deeds, whether supporting missionaries in distant lands or helping America's Knights of Columbus restore the facade of St. Peter's in Rome. But it will not be Catholics alone who greet you. Protestants of every denomination, Jews, Muslims, even many with no defined faith at all, Americans of every kind and degree or belief will wish your holiness well, responding to your moral leadership. Today's Florida sunshine is no warmer than the affection that you will meet. I began a moment ago by quoting from one document of the Second Vatican Council. Permit me to close by quoting from a second. By the hidden and kindly mystery of God's will, a supernatural solidarity reigns among men. A consequence of this is that one person's holiness helps others. Today, Americans feel this solidarity, and we thank you for the courage and sanctity, the kindness and wisdom with which you have done so much to help our troubled world. On behalf of all Americans, Your Holiness, welcome back.
Very grateful, deeply grateful.
Mr. President, dear friends, dear people of America, it is a great joy for me once again to be in your country, and I thank you for your warm welcome. I'm deeply grateful to you all. I express my special thanks to the President of the United States, who honors me by his presence here today. I thank the Bishops' Conference and all the individual bishops who have invited me to their dioceses and who have done so much to prepare for my visit. My cordial greetings and good wishes go to all the people of this land. I thank you for opening your hearts to me and for supporting me by your prayers. I assure you of my own prayers. To everyone, I repeat on this occasion what I said on that memorable day in 1979 when I arrived in Boston. I come to you, America, with sentiments of friendship, reverence, and esteem. I come as one who already knows you and loves you, as one who wishes you to fulfill completely your noble destiny of service to the world. Today, like then, I come to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ to all those who freely choose to listen to me, to tell again the story of God's love in the world, to spell out once more the message of human dignity with its inalienable human rights and its inevitable human duty. Like so many before me coming to America and to this very city of Miami, I come as a pilgrim in the cause of justice and peace and human solidarity, striving to build up the one human family. I come here as a pastor, the pastor of the Catholic Church, to speak and pray with the Catholic people. The theme of my visit, unity in the work of service, affords me to welcome opportunity to enter into ever deeper communion with them in our common service to the Lord. It also enables me to experience ever more keenly with them their hopes and joys, their anxieties and griefs. I come as a friend of America and of all Americans, Catholic, Orthodox, Protestant, Jews, people of every religion, and all men and women of goodwill. I come as a friend of the poor and the sick and the dying, those who are struggling with the problems of each day, those who are rising and falling and stumbling on the journey of life, those who are seeking and discovering, and those not yet finding the deep meaning of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And finally, I come to join you as you celebrate the bicentennial of the great document, the Constitution of the United States of America. I willingly join you in your prayer and thanksgiving to God for the providential way in which the Constitution has served the people of this nation for 2 centuries. For the Union, it has formed the justice it has established, the tranquility and peace it has ensured, the general welfare it has promoted, and the blessings of liberty it has secured. I join you also in asking God to inspire you as Americans who have received so much in freedom and prosperity and human enrichment to continue to share all this with so many brothers and sisters throughout the other countries of the world who are still waiting and hoping to live according to standards worthy of the children of God. With great enthusiasm, I look forward to being with you in the days ahead. Meanwhile, my prayer for all of you, dear people of America, is this. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. God bless America.
to St. Mary's Church in the heart of a little Haiti here in Miami, a ethnically rich and diverse area. He will greet parishioners there, then to a seaside mansion for a further audience with President Reagan this afternoon. The theme that we heard at the end is one that we expect to hear again and again in the course of this trip. America, share your wealth with the poor children of God. NBC's Stan Bernard, who travels with Pope John Paul, covering the Vatican from Rome, is there at the airport. Stan, I suspect that we'll be hearing more and more of that as we listen to the Pope during the course of the next 10 days.
We think he's going to really be talking and making an appeal to this affluent country to help those who are in poverty. We think that is going to be one of the themes. On the plane, he held one of his extraordinary news conferences, these multilingual news conferences, lasted for about an hour. And he acknowledged there is dissent within the church. He said disagreement is not new, and he said that Christ faced disagreement. He said he will speak out on the issue in those areas of disagreement, but he minimized that element within the church, saying he will also speak to those who quietly approve, and he used the word the silent majority to describe that group. John Paul said he was not worried about protests in this country. He said he's accustomed to those protests, and he said that's quite normal for the United States. He remembered protests in his first trip here in 1979. There were a lot of pointed questions on that plane, including one about the meeting with Kurt Waldheim. And this was the first time we were able to get a response from the Pope directly. And he offered no apology. He said it was not a mistake. He said such a meeting was necessary to show the same esteem for every people. He said Waldheim came as a president of a people and of a nation. So there was quite a lot of meat in that news conference on the plane. We were hitting at him pretty hard. He walked up and down. He was very affable. He was extremely patient. And then he went forward. And we hope, of course, to be able to get a wrap-up news conference when we go back to Rome. These are the only times that we really have a chance to talk to the Pope face-to-face and person-to-person. And it's something that we all enjoy, and he seems to enjoy it very much as well.
Well, he is very much a modern pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church, a man who has made 36 of these foreign trips, a born star of the media, as well as a man of the faith, of course. Security, as I say, is very tight. You can see some of it there. The phalanx, Secret Service agents, Dade County and Miami City Police escorting this motorcade. A big chunk of Interstate 95, which runs right through the heart of Miami and Biscayne Boulevard, one of the principal thoroughfares of this big city closed off today. 2 million people live here. More than half of them, about 1.1, are Catholic, so they are probably a little more tolerant of the situation than others may be in other cities. Life has been disrupted. One worker at the mass site was taken into custody for carrying a gun today, but they do not believe that he was any kind of a threat. Business as usual going on in Miami today. The schools, however, will be closed tomorrow in time for the big outdoor mass. The airport at Miami, one of the busiest in the country, service there has been disrupted this afternoon. Flights canceled, delayed, restricted. Watching all of this with me from San Antonio, the site of the Holy Father's fourth city that he'll be visiting, is Archbishop Patrick Fernandez Flores, from whom we heard earlier, the first Hispanic bishop. Will that message be particularly well received in the San Antonio area? Your Excellency, the matter of the United States sharing its material wealth with the...
Very definitely, and I was also very happy that the President pointed out to the Pope the many wonderful things that Catholics all over the United States are doing. And then I think the Pope himself recognized that as he went down the line mentioning the various fields of activity where the Church has been involved. So I was very happy to hear what was being emphasized thus far by the two leaders, our President and His Holiness.
Archbishop Flores, you come from very humble beginnings. You are now, of course, the leader of one of the most important dioceses in the United States, in the church of your choice. Have you ever met the Holy Father before?
Oh, yes, many a time. I met the last 3 popes, but I had many more meetings with the President, the Holy Father. In 1983, I attended a synod, but before the synod, I was there for other pontifical committee meetings. And in the period of about 3.5 months, I was able to meet him about every other day. And so we've had extensive amounts of exchange on the church here in the United States, the church in Texas, and the church in San Antonio.
Well, we know that you look forward to seeing him again. We thank you very much for being with us this afternoon, Your Excellency.
Thank you for the privilege.
Thank you. We'll continue with our coverage of Pope John Paul, his 10-day tour of America, the first day in Miami, in just a moment.